Hi everyone, welcome to my new YouTube channel. A little bit about myself before we get all the way into things. My name is Crystal. I am originally from Michigan in the US, and I moved to Korea in 2019 to be with my husband. He's Korean, and we now have two children, a boy and a girl. We did move into a new apartment a couple of months ago. We live in Incheon in Korea. And that is why it is so dark right now. It has been a few months, but I still have not completely set up our apartment yet, and it is very dark in here. There are like no windows in this apartment, and the lighting is not very bright, so I'm very sorry about that. But we're just going to deal with it right now. I do have another YouTube channel. Sometimes you can see my husband in that channel. Sometimes our children will show up. That one is more about kind of our daily life in Korea, I guess. Sometimes we're going out and having fun, going cafe hopping. You see me get a couple of tattoos. We go to festivals. Other times it's just me kind of sitting at home, like chilling or cleaning. Doing things with the kids, I guess. So if you are interested in our life in Korea, you can follow me there. I will put a link to it in the description box below. I'm also going to link my Goodreads and my Fable account. I'm very new to Fable. I just discovered it. So I still have to figure that out a little bit before I can make like the ultimate use of it. But I will link those there for you. I thought that to start things off, I would kind of go through a few of the books that I've read this year. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do kind of the ones that I have a physical copy of right now. And most of them are books that I've read with my book club. So I am part of a book club here in Incheon. It's for women. So if you happen to live in Incheon and you're a woman and you like to read, you can ask me about the book club and join us, and we can be friends. But just to make this video a little shorter, I'm not going to go through every book that I've read. I haven't really read a lot this year, though. I think I've only read maybe 27 books. I used to read a lot. I used to read like over 100 books a year easily. And then that number started going down the busier that I got just as life progressed. And then when I had kids and I had moved to Korea, it pretty much went to zero. I was not reading at all. I could not focus on reading. That is part of why I joined the book club, so that I could get back into reading. And also I felt like it would force me to read books that I wouldn't normally read, because I normally would read a lot of supernatural romance books, sometimes some spicy books. But I had kind of completely stopped reading more like serious type books, I guess, if you know what I mean. I always did things kind of in reverse. A lot of people, when they're younger, they read more like young adult books. They read more fun books, things like A Series of Unfortunate Events, things like that. And then as they get older, they read more like serious books, and they're not as interested in maybe YA books or, I don't know, like fantasy or supernatural books. Not everyone is like that, but I feel like a lot of people I run into just are more interested in the more serious topics, I guess. And if they are a romance book or anything like that, they have to be more serious. I'm sorry, I keep using the word serious, but I can't think of another word to use. It needs to feel like something in reality, I guess. Whereas for me, when I was younger, I only read the more serious books. I did not like reading books that were for kids. I would read more classic books, and I would read things like Pride and Prejudice very young, Gone with the Wind. I needed things to have like a big meaning, I guess, and I felt smart reading like smart people books. I was one of those kids. And now that I'm older, it kind of reversed. And now I'm the opposite of everyone I know. Everyone I know loves the serious books and books based in like reality, whereas I'm like, Give me like a smutty book. Give me a book that just, I don't know, just makes me feel happy because it's just this like crazy supernatural romance. Give me all the vampires and werewolves. So when I do read something that's not along those lines, it's usually because of book club, or it's because someone in book club has recommended it to me, and they're kind of waiting for my opinion on it, so I read it for them. And I've also recently started reading a lot more ARCs, so advanced reader copies. So some authors have been giving me books so I can read them before they come out, and I will give a review on them. I do have some of those in my Goodreads and stuff that I have already posted about. I'm not really going to go through any of those today though, but if you are interested, maybe I'll make another video about that later. I will say that only recently have my reviews started to be, I guess, more honest. I don't know. Before, I had trouble leaving bad reviews. I just felt guilty. I felt really bad for the authors. I didn't want to tell them that I didn't really like their book. I didn't want to actually post a review that other people could see and base their opinions off of if it was negative. So a lot of times there were books I didn't really like, but I still would be like, oh, it was great. And it probably wasn't. But recently I've been doing a lot more negative reviews because I'm like, you have to let people know what you actually think about these books, especially because I was thinking about starting this channel. I will also say that part of why I started this channel is because my reading and journaling content just doesn't really fit in with the content that I post in our other channel, I guess. I've tried a few times to mix in some reading vlogs or some journaling vlogs, and it just doesn't match at all. So I thought, why not make another channel? Also, the other channel we do Korean subtitles on, and it takes a very long time to do those subtitles. So I can't really speak as freely. I have to talk a lot less, talk a lot more simply, so it's easier to do the subtitles. And I knew I wouldn't be able to do that while talking about books. I'm like, I'm gonna ramble on forever. I already have. This video's already like 10 minutes long, and I didn't even talk about the books. So let's get started. So the first book we read this year for book club was Trees for the Absentees. We wanted to read a book by a Palestinian author, and this book takes place in Palestine. It is about, if you see me looking down, it's because I've made some notes. I'm very sorry. It's been a long time since I've read almost all of these books, so I tried to kind of remember my thoughts on them. It's about a girl who is in occupied Palestine. Her father is in prison, and I think she washes corpses. It's kind of like this ritual, spiritual thing, and it's one of her jobs, and it's a very important job, and she had to be taught it by like her grandmother, who was super important, one of the only people that knew kind of this ritual. It was not bad, and it was very short, read it very quickly, but I think a lot was lost in translation because it is a translated book. I really wanted to know more about her home and her friends and being in Palestine. I wanted to know a lot more about her father and his imprisonment. I wanted to know more about her job, especially because it seemed like a very important job. It was something I really wanted to learn more about. And it didn't really give any of that. And I think maybe it was something with the translation, I guess. It just kind of felt like they skipped over a lot. So it wasn't bad. Again, very easy read. I wanted more. I wanted more from this book. It is a very beautiful cover though. I did like this cover. And also there's a part that was very confusing where she kind of makes up this imaginary kind of boy or something. At first I was confused if he was supposed to be like a ghost or just imagining him, and I think she's just kind of imagining him. And I think it gets like romantic with him. I can't remember. This was like, I think we read this in like January or something. But that part was kind of confusing for me. And I remember a lot of girls in book club also being like, I didn't really get it, but I wanted to get it because I wanted to, really get into like a book from a Palestinian author. But I think none of us really understood that part. And I think all of us kind of wanted more. We wanted to learn more about Palestine and about like the occupation and things like that. So just more. The next book we read in book club was Winter in Sokcho. We were excited to read this because we all live in Korea and some of us have been to Sokcho before. But again, I don't know, it wasn't a book that gave a whole lot. I'm very sorry to this author. I think I gave it like a 1-star review. Again, I'm reading my notes because I completely forgot. I really wasn't like a fan of this one. I read it very fast. My husband also ordered the Korean version so he could read it along with me. So he read it too. He liked it a bit more than I did, but maybe because the Korean version, I don't know, maybe there wasn't as much lost in translation, I guess. It was an easy read, but it didn't really go anywhere. I felt like nothing was happening. I kind of understood some of the things they were talking about, like just how her Korean mom acts and her aunt, and just how they're always like in her business and she has to like follow everything they're saying and you'd be respectful to them. Whereas in the US, we'd probably just be like, leave me alone. Like, stop talking to me. I was confused about the main lead. He was interesting at first, and I was kind of excited for her to meet him. But he I don't know, he did weird things. He ate paper. She'd spy on him and he'd eat paper. And I don't know, I didn't get it, I guess. He confused me. Also, another thing is that I found out a lot of Korean people think this book is very erotic. And actually, I think if you go online to order the copies, if you look at the Korean reviews and the Korean description of it, it will be under erotica. They consider it a sex book. And so my husband, when he ordered it first, he was like, are you guys reading an erotic novel for book club? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? And he's like, that's what it's described as. So there must be some sex stuff. And I was like, no. But he read it before I could read mine. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. There was some stuff and it felt very private. I felt like I was watching them through their bedroom window or something. So he did think it was a little, I don't know, sexy, I guess, of some parts. But then I read it and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, there are parts where she does stuff with her boyfriend, I guess. There's parts where she's thinking about stuff like that, but I don't know. It doesn't really get into too much description. Nothing, I don't know, nothing super sexual, I guess. I don't know how much stuff I can say on YouTube before people are like, I don't know, you're I don't know, saying too much about sexy stuff. Anyway, I didn't get that impression at all. And nobody that read it in book club really got that impression either. But I know a lot of Korean people did think it was a little sexy in some parts, including my husband. I didn't get that at all. So yeah, not really a fan. I don't know. I didn't get about 99% of this book, I guess. Moving on. See, I'm already rambling. Just constantly. I'm very sorry if I do that. Feel free to skip ahead. The next book, The Orphanage. Again, we wanted to read this because it was about Ukraine. So we wanted to read it because of the war that's going on. And we also have a girl in book club who is from Ukraine. So it was very important that we read a book based off of that. I'm sorry if I keep stopping. They started doing construction, I think. Can you hear that? Anyway, I can't tell if it's in our building or next to our building, but it's getting super loud at some parts. So if it feels like this video is stopping and starting, it's probably because it's getting too loud. This is about a man who has to travel kind of far away from where he lives to pick up his nephew who is in an orphanage. I don't remember why he's in an orphanage because his mom is still alive. But I think she just went somewhere, and for some reason he is at this orphanage. So before the war gets too bad, before things just get crazy around where they live, he is supposed to go and pick up his nephew and get him safely back to the grandfather's house. So this man's father's house. Again, it might be a book where things were lost in translation, but I still wanted a little bit more from it. It wasn't horrible. I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. I felt like the main character just didn't really care a lot about anything that was happening. Didn't really care about the war, didn't care about people dying until like the end of the book. And even then it was kind of like, I think he cares more now that he's met people and he's seen what's happening. And now he knows a lot of people that this stuff is happening to. And like he's watching it happen to them, I guess. But it was still hard to tell if he like what he was caring about. So I wanted him to care a bit more, maybe be a bit more scared. He did get scared at a couple points, but the things I was reading, I was like, I would be terrified. I don't know if I could do any of that. Which is like the point, obviously. This thing is happening in Ukraine, and they run into some soldiers. He runs into soldiers as he's going to pick up his nephew, who are constantly asking him, like, where are you going? What are you doing? And, anything could happen. He could be killed at any time. And so those parts were, like, very suspenseful, very scary. But I think at first, it just kind of felt like he was like, yeah, whatever. It didn't feel like he got really scared until, like, this happened a few times to him. And then more scared after he got his nephew, because then obviously he has to take care of his nephew. And if anything happens to him, his nephew's all alone, or something's going to happen to both of them. So now he has to go into like protector mode. But it was very sad just knowing that some of the characters either had died or were going to die. You just knew it. You could feel it. It was sad worrying about all the kids at the orphanage. And you felt sad knowing that they probably didn't have much longer. They probably would not be spared for much longer. And it was really sad because you could connect it to what's happening in reality right now. Just sad reading about all of the places that are destroyed, all of the people that had died and were dying. It was just kind of hard to focus on it, just because it felt like at first the main character didn't really care that much. So you're like, what are you doing? This is horrible. So that's probably why it was like 3 out of 5 stars, I guess. But also that could also just be the translation problem. Maybe there was more in like the original version. But yeah, it was not a bad novel, and it was really, really good that we were reading about what was happening, especially since we do have a member in book club who is from Ukraine. So that was The Orphanage. I do suggest that you read it. I will recommend this one. It was very good, and I did like kind of reading about some stuff that was happening. So yeah, I will just say that I just wish that, I guess, the main character gave a bit more, like, so you can understand more of what's happening in real time and understand like how scary it is and how sad it was, because he didn't really have a very emotional response to a lot of it. So he did more towards the end, I guess, get a little bit more scared and a little bit more sad about things. But again, like I said, maybe translation problem. I still recommend it though. Read it. The next book is The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. I believe we read this one because we had to read a book from an African author, I think. This one is about a man who has 4 wives, and it's about like the newest wife coming to live with the family. And the other wives are just kind of not happy that she's coming. They don't necessarily like their husband. It's not that they're like, I don't want to share him, but kind of, he's just not going to focus on us as much. He's going to now have to give this new wife money and jewelry and clothes and take care of her. And if she's prettier than all of us, then everyone's going to focus on her more. And also, she went to like college. She's smart. None of the other wives have done anything like that. So they're always kind of like, she just thinks she's so much smarter than us. So we got to put her in her place, sort of thing. Good book. I enjoyed reading it. I read it very quickly. It was nice getting to read about each wife and how they became one of his wives. It was nice getting to read kind of their backstories and what they thought about the new person coming in, what they thought about their children and their husband, and kind of what their life was like being in this sort of relationship. Very interesting read, but it did make me extremely angry in some parts, just with some of the things that a couple of the wives did. It was like, why? Why are you doing these things? I mean, I guess I know why you're doing it, but you're just creating so much more trouble, and something does end up happening that's not very good. It makes me very sad. And it's just because they just could not accept this new wife coming in. So that made me very angry. But I guess that is kind of what made it worth reading, was getting that feeling and being like, I'm so mad at you. Just deal with it. So yeah, another book that like I recommend, but probably in the middle. It's probably like 3 out of 5 stars. Not horrible. I did enjoy reading about each wife, like I said, but just a couple of the wives made me angry. So mad. That was The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. Or you might also find it under The Secret Lives of the 4 Wives. It's got 2 names. I think The Secret Lives of the 4 Wives is the original title that it was under, maybe. So yeah, another kind of pretty cover. You probably can't see it all the way. I like this blue. The next book that we read was The Silent Patient. I think there was a book before this. I think it was a Stephen King book. You Like It Darker or something like that. I did not finish that one completely. I only read a couple stories from that book because it's a book just full of many stories. So that's part of why I'm not reviewing that one. First of all, I don't have a physical copy of that one. I was reading the ebook version, or actually I was listening to the audiobook, but I also didn't 100% finish that one. So maybe I will review that later. But anyway, The Silent Patient. This was pretty good. I think the only problem that I had with it was that I kind of predicted a little bit of the ending, like kind of who did it, but I didn't predict it all the way because there was still a little twist that I didn't see coming with like exactly what happens. I'll just read the back to you so that you can kind of get an idea of what this book is about. Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband Gabriel returns home late from work and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into a mystery that captures the public imagination, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband will take him down a path more unexpected and more terrifying than he ever imagined. So at first, I did not really want to read this book because I was like, well, it gives it all away right here. Like, you already know that someone dies and you know who kills them, so what's the point in reading it? But actually, it was interesting. I ended up getting into it very quickly and finishing it very fast, which I did not think was going to happen. But I enjoyed it. It does talk about her life. It talks about Theo's life. It talks about like her husband, and I think Theo has a wife or girlfriend, wife. So it talks about kind of like their situations. And one interesting thing is that Alicia was actually a famous artist. And Theo actually knew that. He already liked her work before, which is part of why he wants to work with her. But she doesn't paint anymore. I think the last piece she did was after she killed her husband. So Theo is like just obsessed with his painting. He's like, this has to tell the story. This tells us why she did it. This is her last message. So that was interesting, kind of reading about this painting and what it could mean and what was in the painting. So I did really enjoy that part of it. I enjoyed kind of reading his notes about their meetings, reading what these therapists thought about it. I enjoyed any part with Alicia in it, I guess. And I did kind of enjoy some of the twists that this took. The only thing, like I said, was I kind of guessed a little bit of the ending. So at first when it was saying it, I was like, see, I know what's happening. But then kind of another twist comes in and I'm like, okay, wait. Well, I guess half of it. So I guess this makes up for it, that there is like another little twist. So yeah, I recommend this one. The Silent Patient. It's not a book that I would have read before. Again, just like even reading the back, being like, okay, now I know what happens. But that's another reason why I'm glad that I am in a book club like this, because it forces me to read books I wouldn't usually read, and now I'm a fan. Maybe not a 5-star read, maybe a 4-star. Not like the best book ever, but still really good. I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I finished it. And I enjoyed that there was kind of like an added twist to the already twist ending since I already guessed half of it. But I know nobody else in book club guessed any of it. So I think I was the only one that was like, okay, I guessed part of it. So nobody else knew what was coming. And I think everybody else in book club was also a fan of this book. And as a matter of fact, I think it was this book or one of the ones we read right before it, but we actually started meeting twice a month instead of once a month. We used to read one book a month and we'd meet at a cafe, and now we read 2 a month, one kind of regular book and we meet at a cafe, and then one horror or thriller book and we meet at like a bar or a restaurant one night during the week, and we'll have some wine and talk about it, because we ended up reading, it was this book or a book right before this. I think it was the book right before this, and we were like, okay, we like thrillers and mysteries and horrors, so let's have some like wine and talk about those ones. Let's meet twice a month. So now we meet twice a month, which is awesome. But yeah, fan of this one. Again, not like 5-star, but like 4.5. I don't know, somewhere around there. So yes, The Silent Patient. So the last book I will talk about, because this is getting super long and I'm very sorry. Again, I'm sorry for all the noise. I'm going to try to cut out some of those construction noises. Somebody's drilling. It's driving me crazy. And my daughter woke up and she's crying a little bit. My husband's with her, but I'm sorry if you could hear her crying a little bit. She stopped a little while ago, or else I would have already gone to take care of her. Don't worry. I think they're just trying to take a nap again together. Anyway, I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And I decided to get the covers that were not from the movies on Netflix, because they do have the like Netflix covers with the actress on them. But I wanted the kind of more original one. And my husband actually bought me the box set of these. So I have all 3 books. And I was really excited to get them because I am a fan of the movies. I watched the movies first, and then I decided I need to read the books. But I will say, I like the movies better. I think that this is maybe a 3 out of 5 star read. I don't know. I can't really tell because I watched the movies first and I liked the movies. But the books, I don't know. This book, it drove me crazy. Because a lot of the characters are just awful. And I don't know if that's like bad or if it's good about the author that she managed to make them like, I don't know, so annoying, and you just want to scream at them or scream at her and be like, girl, what are you doing? Like, get away from them. Go have a better life. Go be with other people. Don't worry about them. They suck. So in the show, or in the movie, she has a friend, Chris. And Chris, you get that she's kind of self-absorbed a little bit, but in like a cool way. And she's still a pretty good friend to Laura Jean, the main character. But in the book, Chris is very much just all about her. Again, self-absorbed, but not exactly in a cool way. I still kind of like Chris, but I think it's because I am connecting it to the movie character. In the book, she never really pays attention to Laura Jean, and she's never really helping her out. Like, she's always kind of being like, yeah, Laura Jean, every decision you make is just stupid. Which I guess is good that she's being honest, but also kind of in a shitty way. She's never really, I don't know, I just feel like she's never nice to this girl that's supposed to be her best friend. So that was one thing. They do kind of explain more about how her mom passes away, because you already know that her mom has passed away. Her dad is a single dad now of 3 girls, because she has 2 sisters, 1 older sister and 1 younger sister. And in the movie, right away, you know that her mom has passed away. But this explains it a bit more, which, by the way, it's a super sad, sudden way that her mom died, which I didn't know in the movie. Yeah, her friend, not a great friend. I don't know. I wish that she was a better friend to her. And her sisters kind of suck. I mean, in the movie, her sisters are kind of just, I don't know, they're nice. Like, her older sister is always looking out for her. Her younger sister is kind of a pain in the butt, but her heart's in the right place, and she's a very funny character. A little bit of comic relief, I guess. But in the book, her little sister is just kind of rude, and I guess, well, before I explain any more about her sisters, I guess I should tell you what this story is about for people that have not watched the movie or read the book. Let me read the back first. It says, Laura Jean keeps her love letters in a hat box her mother gave her. They aren't love letters that anyone else wrote for her. These are ones that she's written. One for every boy she's ever loved. 5 in all. When she writes, she can pour out her heart and soul and say all the things she would never say in real life, because her letters are for her eyes only, until the day her secret letters are mailed, and suddenly Laura Jean's love life goes from imaginary to out of control. So I'm going to give like a tiny spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, I don't know, maybe don't watch the rest of this review, I guess, because there's a couple spoilers, I guess, that's about to come in. But in the movie, Kitty, her younger sister, mails out the letters, I think, in order to help her older sister, Laura Jean. She wants her sister to have a boyfriend and go on dates and have fun and finally have a life, because she's kind of just sitting at home all the time, just always with her sisters. Doesn't have a life. So you're kind of annoyed with her for mailing out the letters, but you understand why she did it, and it's kind of like funny, and you get over it very quickly. In the book, though, she does it just because she's mad. She does it on purpose. She does it to be mean, and it makes you mad at her. Like, you're just not happy. And I didn't like that, because I liked thinking of Kitty as this very cute, funny character, just this young girl who sometimes makes mistakes. I didn't like that in the book. It was like, okay, she did this on purpose and she did it to be mean, and that's not nice. So that was one difference. Another example of a character that is not really great. Like, she's not nice to her sister. And then also Margot, the older sister. In the movies, her older sister is very smart, capable. She's kind of had to be mom, but it doesn't really look like it bothers her too much. Just, she has a good head on her shoulders. She's taking care of her sister and her dad. But in the book, I don't know, she's always kind of, again, rude to Laura Jean. Always kind of like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just dumb. I've always taken care of you, and listen to what I say. And don't be with this guy and listen to everything I say, which I guess that's an older sister for you. But again, maybe it's just because I watched the movie first, but I was kind of like, man, I don't like her. Like, she's mean. Stop talking. Stop being mean to your younger sister, and stop being so controlling. Also, Josh, one of the love interests, such a jerk. A jerk. Always kind of just in Laura Jean's face. Always like, I know better than you. Always like, do what I say. And kind of just is annoyed when she's not like obsessed with him anymore. Just kind of like, I don't get it. Like, why am I not your favorite anymore? Why are you with this person? How dare you not be interested in me anymore? How dare you not spend every second of your time with me? And like, even goes as far to like just straight up kiss her, because he's like, nope, like you're gonna be with me, I guess. Like, I don't know, just totally not cool. Not cool to Laura Jean, not cool to Margot, who was his ex-girlfriend in these books. I don't know. He was just kind of a jerk. And I was like, I don't like you. And in the movie, he was confused, I guess, about the love letter, confused about Laura Jean's choice to start dating Peter. But he was still nice. He was still cool. You felt a little sorry for him. You still liked him as a character. I did. I didn't really like him as the love interest, but I liked him as her friend. I still liked him. But in the book, right away, I was like, why are you such a jerk? Like, life isn't all about you. Back up. And then that brings me to our next jerk, Peter. Peter's awful in this book. Awful. Just a horrible boyfriend. He really is. I mean, he makes a few mistakes in the movies, but in the book, wow. Like, right away, I was like, I don't think I like any of these love interests. Like, I don't know if she should be with you. Like, you are, again, another boy that's just like, I'm so cool. Every girl wants to be with me and focus all your attention on me. But I'm also going to be over here doing stuff with my ex-girlfriend. I'm also going to be, I don't know, just doing all these things you don't like, and deal with it. If you don't like it, then that's your problem. Like, I'm awesome. Which, again, you can kind of ignore some of it as just him being a teenager, just first love kind of things. But just another example of like how the movie did it in a way where you could still kind of relate it to like high school stuff and then still enjoy the characters though. Whereas in the book, you would read about it and be like, no, you don't believe your girlfriend at all when she's telling you these things are happening, but instead you're just always looking out for your ex-girlfriend. You're always with your ex-girlfriend, even though your girlfriend is calling you and being like, what are you doing? Who are you with? And I'm not doing it to be like possessive of you, but like, why are you with your ex-girlfriend right now? It was so annoying. And you just were constantly like, Peter, what are you doing? Come on, man. And even when he's with his girlfriend, he's not the nicest. He's still kind of like, I'm just awesome. You're so lucky to be with me. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this, you guys. Like, I enjoyed the writing. Easy read. a lot of things that just kind of make you think about high school and your first crushes and your first love. So that all is enjoyable to read about. But I'm having trouble thinking, like, do I still like this book as a book alone, or do I only enjoy it still because I've seen the movie and I like the movie? I don't know. So that's why I'm giving it like 3 out of 5, kind of in the middle. Not amazing, not the worst thing to read, but the characters do make me angry. I kind of feel sorry for her. I'm like, man, all these people around you suck. You need a better friend. You definitely need a better boyfriend. And all of these people are wrong when they're telling you that you're the problem and you need to get over everything, because they have done nothing wrong, because they have. Everything they're doing is wrong. They're not nice to you. So that is what I want to say to you, Laura G. You deserve better. So hopefully things get better. But yes, this is the last book I will talk about, because this is a very long video. But this is also the first video I'm posting, which is why it's long. I had to introduce myself, introduce the channel, talk about a few books that I read this year. And I did have to stop a lot because of the noise that is going on. And again, I'm very sorry it's dark here. I'm going to try to buy some more lights to make these videos easier to see. But yeah, if you would like to follow me on my other channel, do so. I'd be happy to have you. Happy to make more friends. If you're in Korea and you ever want to meet up and talk books or do anything, let me know. And I will be posting more of these videos. I'm not quite sure what these videos are going to be. Maybe I will take you out with me as I go to book club and to bookstores, because it's kind of hard to fit those into my other channel. Doesn't always flow well with the other things I'm recording. Or maybe I'll just sit here and talk about the books and let you know what I think about them. But again, I don't read as much now. So my goal for this year was to read 50 books. It is the beginning of September now, and I am at book 27, I think, maybe 28. So I still have a lot to read if I want to hit that 50 book mark. But it's hard. It's hard when you have 2 kids. And also I live in Korea, where a lot of bookstores and libraries only have like Korean books, of course. Makes sense. So it's been a little hard for me to find like English books around where I live in Incheon, especially since I live in kind of like an older neighborhood. It's not like a college town or anything like that, where they might be more used to foreigners and having like English speaking people at restaurants, or, English books and things available. So also, if you know of English bookstores or libraries with lots of English books around Incheon, let me know. I'd be happy to go there. And maybe I'll make videos about it. Who knows? Anyway, these are some of the books I read. A few of them are like 3 stars. I think most of them were kind of like 1 or 2 stars. I don't know. I didn't have a very good time reading in the beginning of the year, I guess. We'll just say that. They weren't always the best, but kind of just been in the middle, I guess, most of the time. But we'll see what happens as things continue. And I did read more books than this, just I didn't review them because they were mostly like ebooks and ARCs and stuff like that. Some of those were 5 stars though, so you can look on my Goodreads. Again, just keep in mind that I think a lot of the time I was being honest, especially if it was like a 5-star, but there were a couple where I was like, yeah, this is so good, but it's probably because I got an ARC of it and I was really embarrassed to like not give them 5 stars. So yeah, but I mean, after about like, we'll say June, even with the ARCs, I got like a lot more serious with those reviews. So yeah. Also, if you have any recommendations on books I should read, let me know. I will maybe make a video about recommendations that you guys have given me. And thank you for watching this video, even though it's very long. Thank you for being here, and please subscribe, because I'm a new booktuber and I would really like to make this channel turn into something. So help me out. And we can go on this journey together. I would love that. Okay, so that is it for now. Bye, new friends. I'll see you next time.